Hey everybody. I'm sorry if you haven't talked to me recently or gotten direct information. There's just not enough hours in the day for us to talk to everybody. So I thought I would do this and send it to y'all so I can answer some questions and keep everybody up to speed. So, what happened? Where we're at right now? Back at the end of September, Alicia went in and to the hospital. We were in the ER. She had a really awful stomach problem, and we were in there for a few hours. They ran a bunch of tests, came back, and they thought that she had what they called an ileus. And so they sent us home with anti-nausea meds and pain meds, and that was that for that week. The following week, she had a follow-up with our family physician, and she did an examination and said this is no ileus and sent her in for a CT scan. So that was on a Friday, and then called her back into the office immediately after the CT scan was done, and then let her know that they had found a spot on her pancreas, a spot on her spleen, and a spot on her intestines. And then set us up with a appointment on Monday with the oncologist. Um, so that was quite the shock. We didn't know anything other than they were confirming it was cancer. They just didn't know what. So we saw the oncologist that Monday, which would have been I believe the 29th of September, and he told us straight away that it was not pancreatic cancer and that he was convinced that it was a lymphoma. He just didn't know what kind without a biopsy and some further tests. So we went in um, immediately for biopsy. They tried to do something they thought that they could get via her esophagus. That didn't work out. So then they had to go and do a needle core biopsy the following week, and that came back as being large B cell non Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so we got that official diagnosis right at her birthday, which is happy 45th birthday. And then from there, they had set us up with appointments to um, do put a port in so that they could deliver meds through that, and a second opinion down at the University of Michigan. So we were patiently waiting for that when she was not feeling good immediately after the biopsy. The next day, she wasn't feeling great, and it just got steadily worse through that week. So that was on a Tuesday. She didn't eat anything for 4 straight days. She couldn't. Nothing would stay down. It was awful. Finally, just kept hounding her on Saturday that we need to go into the ER. And so she went in Sunday. Close friend of ours took her in Sunday morning. I stayed home with Morgan. Um, and they did another CT scan and found out that her masses had more than doubled in size in just under 3 weeks. And that was all they could do for her here. They had to ship her out immediately, and they just wanted to know where we wanted to go. And so she said U of M because that's where the second opinion was going to be anyway. So they called me from the hospital to say that they were shipping her via ambulance to U of M. And so I made some phone calls, got some very good friends of ours to come and stay here with Morgan. And I packed up and went to the ER to wait with her for the ambulance. And then once the ambulance got there, I followed them down to U of M, which was the longest 2 hours of my life. So we got to the U of M ER. They checked her over. They saw her history and everything, and immediately checked us in. Sent us up to, we were probably only in that ER for an hour, which was excellent. Got us right into a room upstairs, and then Monday morning we started seeing doctors and then folks from the hematology department, and they were giving her fluids like crazy and gave her some steroids, which helped tremendously because it shrunk things just enough, because her main complaint was that things had gotten to the point where it was clamping down pretty much on her intestine, and it was pushing against her lungs. She had a hard time breathing. She couldn't eat. Her stomach hurt. It was distended, and then this shrunk things just enough that she actually got up out of bed and was walking around and had an appetite again. And so that happened early Monday into Monday afternoon. And then we met with the hematology team, who told us that this is not only treatable, this is curable. She's definitely curable, and that we were on the right track with our oncologist here. Things just needed to be progress a little faster than we originally started, because this is a very aggressive kind of cancer. It moves quickly, which was evident by how big those masses got so quickly. So the thing, it's not something you can do surgery for, because it's not a solid mass. It's of a nature that you just can't do that, and it's in the lymphatic system. So, but it does mean that we can treat this with just chemotherapy. We don't need radiation or anything else at this time. And Monday, she managed to eat dinner, which I hadn't seen in a week, a full turkey dinner with dessert, and then ate breakfast on Monday or Tuesday, excuse me, and lunch on Tuesday. And since she was up and feeling so good, and we were doing laps around the unit, they didn't want us there anymore, so they sent us home Tuesday afternoon, and we managed to get home in time to have dinner with Morgan. And so we immediately saw our primary and our oncologist here again and got the plan into motion. And so Wednesday, this past Wednesday, the 30th, she had her first round of chemo. Tuesday prior, day before, they put her port in. So she's got a port in her chest, which she gets all of her blood draws through and all of her chemo through. And so Wednesday was the first round. We will do 6 rounds, 1 round every 3 weeks. And we were talking with the oncologist and the nurses, who have all been just amazing. And she will also need what's called intrathecal, and that will be on weeks 2, 4, and 6. She will actually have to have injections into her spine, and that is to prevent this from spreading into the central nervous system, because it can do that. It can hide out in there, and traditional chemo can't get there. So this will treat that. It's kind of a preventative. They've done an initial scan. There's nothing there, but just to make sure that nothing does get there, we're going to do this. So not going to be a ton of fun, but she will be out when they do it, which is great. So we'll do those 3 times. So if we stay on schedule, if we don't have any setbacks of any kind, we'll do this every 3 weeks and be done sometime middle February. So this is Sunday, and so far things have been pretty good. The nurse's main concern is keeping her from being nauseous, which is fantastic. And so she's on some meds for that. She's also still on steroids, and will be. But her main complaint right now was, so far since Wednesday, being tired. Thursday wasn't too bad. Friday she was tired. Saturday she was pretty tired. So lots of napping. But aside from that, she's eating. Not a ton. She's eating some smaller meals, but she is still eating and able to keep things down, which is great. So far, the only bald person in the family is me. She's happy about that. Hasn't lost any hair. They said, she probably will, but she hasn't yet. So some people just don't. Everybody's different with chemo. And as I'm doing this right now, she actually left and went to yoga. She's feeling good enough to do that. And she told me today is the first day she's feeling more like herself, which is awesome news. So that's the update. That's where things sit at this point in time. We've got 2 weeks until her next appointment. In between all that, my back finally went out, and I'm having surgery this coming Wednesday. This is stemming from the accident still. Apparently what we didn't know was at the time of the accident, it pretty much wrecked one of my discs in my low back, and it's finally gone to the point where doc says I'm bone on bone, and that's why I'm in pain all the time, is because the bones are tap dancing on my nerves. So I got that going for me, which is nice. So Wednesday I go in for anterior posterior interbody lumbar fusion between L4 and L5. Long story short, in a few months' time, I should be back to normal, and hopefully, knock on wood, back to running I'd like to be running again by June, and maybe get some hockey in there somewhere. So we'll see. So lots of fun at my house. Could not thank our family here in Mount Pleasant anymore. They are amazing. We have people on a schedule, showing up and dropping off dinner like every 3 days. And they are here to do anything we need anytime. Our good friend Heidi has been here multiple times. She's the one that took Alicia to the hospital for me, to the ER before we wound up in Ann Arbor. Then that later that week, I had her back to stay with Morgan while I took Alicia into the ER because she had gotten dehydrated, and needed some fluids. So things have been amazing from that standpoint. Our family is just so good. We just can't thank them enough. So that's the update for now. Probably do another one of these in the not too distant future so that you guys can get it directly from me and not have to get it secondhand from relatives and friends and whatnot. But if you have any questions or anything, just give me a shout. Right now we're in good spirits. Things are pretty good. They keep telling us she's going to get past this. We're going to beat this. She's going to be in good health once we get it over with. But, the next few months are going to be rough. And then, after that, I'm sure there's going to be some aftermath. But, things are good. Her nurses just keep telling her, you're curable or you wouldn't be here because we wouldn't do this for you. So it's been a long month. October sucked, but we're getting there. So talk to everybody soon. Take care.